And we did a few trips to New York, but one of them, this is one of those moments of like what we missed. We were with Wild Pitch Records with Stu Fine, who owned the label. And we asked him, we said, do you know of any spots where we can get some good stuff, any digging spots, And he said, man, if you'd come in yesterday, we had Pete Rock, Q-Tip, and Large Professor were here. Wow. And they went beat, and you could have gone beat digging with them. We were like, no,
could you
we missed it by a day.
Oh, no, gutted.
People like Mad Skills came down. Nas came there.
Wow.
Fusion was working for one of the magazines, I think Touch or something. And one day he just walked in with Nas, me and MK, and it was almost like took us by surprise, and we didn't know what to say, and we all kind of looked at each other. And Nas is just standing there, and he'll bring it on. I was like, yeah, cool. Got the mic out, give him this mic, and he was okay. He was not that good. It was like the heavens opened, and God went, Peter, have this. In the door walks Chester P, and what you've done is just, it's incredible. You're right in the encyclopedia of hip hop.
A little electro selection.
Oh yeah. Well, I played two this morning and I can mix that. I quite like doing the blends, my mixes, and Twilight 22 and Cybertron Clear. Clear.
Yeah. So, lights, camera, action. On this week's show, we have someone who's lived and breathed music most of his life and has set many a dance floor on fire with his killer sets, and basically run the legendary record shop in the late 90s called Deal Real, which become basically like a hub or a cornerstone of hip hop in London, with artists such as SkinnyMan, Amy Winehouse, Jessie J, Hijack, Professor Green, Estelle, John Legend, and many more passing through. And we've got the one and the only Pete Real in the place.
Good afternoon, good evening, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
Hold on, pop. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm really good, Steve. I'm really good, my brother. Thank you so much. These shows are legendary, by the way. What you're doing here is absolutely amazing. So I'm so honoured to be invited on to share my little story.
No, I mean, for you to say that coming from you means a lot. And listen, it's a real, listen, mate, it's a real honour for you to come forward to do this, So,
honestly, man, thank you so much from the heart, man.
I can't wait to basically, get down to the old nitty gritty and take it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's take it. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the root where it all kind of started for you. So, but basically, whereabouts are you from, and what was it like growing up, as a youngster? I'm from Essex. I'm from Southend. Back here now, living by the sea. I love it. And growing up, I was born in 65, so I was grown up in the 70s, and I want to get straight into a couple of people that were really, really instrumental in my music. When I was about 12 or 13, so we're talking mid to late 70s, a guy called Paul moved in a couple of doors down from me with his young family, and he had these records. He had all the Motown, he had the Temptations, the Marvin Gayes, the Stevie Wonders, he had the George Benson, Ramsey Lewis, Earth, Wind and Fire, all these amazing tunes. And he would let me take whatever I wanted, take them home, record them all. Wow. So I was blessed. I was absolutely blessed from day one to have access to all this amazing stuff. I was 12, 13 years old, 14 years old. I knew all the lyrics to Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear album, I was the only kid listening to the Jeff Lorber Fusion. It was like mad. I know, because Marvin Gaye is your most favourite singer, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm going to mention Marvin probably a few times.
Yeah. No, I know Marvin. Yeah,
God to me. So that was an introduction, but more as well. He in sort of 81, he started taking me to gigs, and he took me to see George Benson, Donald Byrd, Mays, and he took me to see Marvin Gaye.
Wow.
So I saw Marvin Gaye. Yeah, exactly. It was wow for me then, and it's wow for me now. I feel so blessed that was where I started. And one of his best friends became my best friend for life, or one of my best friends, is a guy called Willard. He was older than me as well, and he was an ex-Crackers dancer, and he was amazing. He's an amazing dancer, amazing friend. He used to, in the 80s, he used to have these parties at his house, and he would always let me go on the decks. He was always really encouraging, get on the decks, Pete, get on the decks. He was the first person with Technics 1200s, I think, I ever came across. It was early on. So that's how I kind of started DJing, really. Willard's, these Paul gave me the records, Willard gave me the decks, and it was kind of from then on, yeah. amazingly lucky.
So you really you couldn't have had a better kind of a start. I mean,
what for someone like me who fell in love with music, it was amazing. You know, it was just like I couldn't. Looking back on it at the time, I didn't realise how amazing. You know, you don't, do you? You know, you just it's part of life.
And was Paul a DJ as well?
No, he wasn't a DJ. He was
just a record collector.
He was a businessman who made money and bought records. Yeah, he was a true, you know, I worked for him. My first job was working for him on Petticoat Lane Market. You know, we'd go up in the van on a Sunday morning. I was
sell the leather jackets?
And selling leather. We were selling leather t-shirts and leather trousers. It was like 80, 81 probably time, and selling all this trendy clothes.
Oh, wow.
And on there I'd meet people because there was a record store next door with this guy called Ahmed who used to run that. So I started buying records then. Yeah, amazing. I was just blessed to have these people come into my life. If they hadn't come into my life, maybe not. I wouldn't have. Maybe I'd never had Deal Real. I don't know. You know, it was just circumstance leads to circumstances, and I was lucky to be DJing. And amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
That's incredible. And so basically, what style of music was you really taking seriously first? Would you say it was like the boogie kind of funky type stuff?
Yes. Well, it started. I mean, as I say, it started with Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye and all that stuff. And he also had like Mystic Merlin and all the funk and the boogie. Funkadelic, One Nation Under a Groove, massive for me as well. So P-Funk took over as well. I'm a funketeer for life. So yeah, it was all that, but I was really keen. I'm not a good dancer, but I love to shake a leg. And Willard you'd go out with Willard, you had to dance. There was no option. You've got to dance. He would drag me out and do the bump and everything. So I love to dance. So yeah, dance music, you know. But yeah. And then electro, of course, 82. Electro.
Well, I was going to say that's kind of like obviously one of the questions I usually ask is basically what was the spark that lit the flame for you to get into hip hop? Was it basically like listening to the early electro stuff like Planet Rock and them type of things? Or was it? I would say
electro stuff before. I'm going to say something that a lot of people are going to go, "What?" I never really liked Rapper's Delight. Yeah, I still don't really like it that much. It's a massively important record. Should be in the top 10 of most important records ever. I never played it. At the time, not really. It came across as a bit cheesy to me. And, you know, a record from that time, from 1980, which I think doesn't get enough recognition and should be up there, is Treacherous 3, New Rap Language. That, to me, records like that, a bit more serious, hearing that blew my mind. Blew my mind. That's kind of... But it was the electro that was the catalyst. Yeah. And then it was a bit later on when the albums started to hit. So I think LL Cool J, Radio, massive for me. And then those Run DMC,
Raising Hell or the Rock Box.
The rock one. My mates had the earlier ones, and then I think Raising Hell was the first one I bought, and that's when I started to buy the Beastie Boys' first album, and then Eric B. and Rakim's first album.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I bought that when I went to live in New York in 1987. I lived there for a year, and not on a music trip or anything. It was just a fun year. But that's like one of the few albums I bought actually in Delancey Street. You know, I bought Eric B. and Rakim. That was massive in New York, that tune at the time. But when I got back from New York, I think that's really when hip hop kicked in for me, and when it was De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, all those big Tribe Called Quest first album just started to roll in, didn't it?
When was that? Kind of like 88, yeah.
I got back in 88 and I started to really seriously buy records again, because I've been buying records since, say, 81, but then it was off and on. I think when I got back, it started to really kick in then I moved to London, and it started to get involved in people that were really into hip hop. And I saw a slightly different side to it then, you know what I mean? More deeper, going around people's houses and they were getting Ultramagnetics 12s and playing me stuff. And,
it was mind blowing, wasn't it, Pete? Mind blowing. For me, like for me personally, kind of like the golden year of hip hop probably would have been probably around 88.
Yeah.
87, 88. When like Public Enemy was coming in.
Of course, yeah. Got to forget. There's so many to remember. Of course. Public Enemy, even things like Ice-T, Power, and Ryan Paynes.
Oh yeah.
Started to get that stuff. And it was just, to me, because I'm not really that. I'm not going to say I'm not into the hip hop culture, but I'm not like yourself. I didn't get the sneakers. I didn't dress like that. Didn't go to all the jams. But it was the music side of it but I'm very serious when it comes to my music. So, and I think hip hop's really developed into a form of music then that was more serious. I mean, Follow the Leader, Eric B. and Rakim. That's as much as listening to John Coltrane to me.
Yeah,
that's the same. That's how I see that.
There was some incredible hip. I mean, talking of like producers, I mean, like Mantronics. I mean, how amazing was Mantronics?
Mantronics and Marley Marl.
Yeah,
and I mean, it was starting to get mind blowing. There was that time, I think, between 88 and 92, 93, where, and I don't know about you, even when I was selling records by then, I didn't realise what we were actually experiencing until you look back every week. And we were disappointed if we didn't get 2 or 3 good releases. You know, by the end of the 90s, we were lucky if we got 1, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, it's quite funny, Pete. It's quite funny you say that, because basically with me, like towards the end of the 80s into the early 90s, I wasn't really listening to that much hip hop. I was getting more into the kind I was getting more into kind of like the housey type, trancey type stuff, the trip hop, the breaky beat type stuff.
Right.
So
yeah, I didn't like house. Never really got house. So that kind of, I bypassed it. And I guess that was kind of what got me into hip hop, because there wasn't anything else. So I could really concentrate on hip hop.
You know why I got into the house side of things though, because I come from that. I love the electro sound from the early years. So the house music kind of reminded me like early electro stuff.
Yeah. No, I get that. Absolutely. I mean, the electro was amazing to me. It was the new funk. It was the future funk, wasn't it?
It was mind blowing.
So what happened was, around 1991, I was living in London and I had left a job and was kind of figuring out what to do in my life. And I wanted to get something in music. So I went and got a job at Tower Records in Whiteley's in Queensway, just because let's get into music and I might meet somebody from a record company and try and get into a record company and all that. And when I was working there, I started to meet people that I've known still to this day. Fresh, Fresh Hamid X, legend from all the record shops. I met him there first. He got me the copy of the Ultramagnetics album. £8, still remember. But I met this guy called Rob Corrigan, and we decided let's leave Tower Records and let's go and start a record shop. So we got together. We had only about $2,000 we scraped together. We flew out to New York, and the reason I said I lived in New York, I had friends in New York, so we had an apartment to stay in free. So it was really cheap to do. And we just went out and trailed the streets of New York in about so it was probably 91. And we went to see record companies. We saw Tom Silverman and Tommy Boy and all these different ones. You just call them up and say we're in London, and I met Chuck Chill out there, and Stu Fine from Wild Pitch. Wicked story from Stu Fine, but I'll tell you that in a minute.
Yeah.
But we bought all these records back, and there was soul and funk as well, and quite a lot of hip hop. And I always remember we were in Tower Records in New York, and they had copies of the Main Source album. This might have been a later trip. My memory's terrible, by the way. And they were $3 each. Main Source Breaking Atoms, right? And we picked up about 5 or 6 of these, and we were halfway to the counter, and I said to Rob, these are $3 each. We'd left some over there. We're like, we're mad.
Come and get them.
Copies. Yeah, 20 copies. Went up to the counter, boom, stuff like that. Just mad, funny stories. And we brought them all back to London, and first thing we did was got a stall on Camden Market. Quite soon after that, probably did that for a few weeks. We got there was a place called the Company Store where Soul to Soul used to be in the basement, but they weren't there then, they'd gone by then. But it was like an indoor market. So we got an indoor unit in there. We were there for quite a while. And then eventually we moved across the road to Inverness Street with a guy called Anthony Cooper, who had a clothes shop and Have a Nice Day. And that's when things kind of started to change. We were in the basement, started to pick up, And we did a few trips to New York, but one of them, this is one of those moments of like what we missed. We were with Wild Pitch Records with Stu Fine, who owned the label. And we asked him, we said, do you know of any spots when we can get some good stuff, any digging spots, And he said, man, if you'd come in yesterday, we had Pete Rock, Q-Tip, and Large Professor were here. Wow. And they went beat, and you could have gone beat digging with them. We were like, no, don't tell us that.
Could you
missed it by a day.
Oh, no, gutted.
Yeah. But, it was funny. It was just one of those things, man. It was one of those things. But, yeah, we'd mined, and we went to New York a few times. We bought stuff back and all that. And then eventually me and Rob parted ways, and I moved to Notting Hill Gates and started selling records there. And as I'm going, I'm getting to know more and more people. Like when I was in Camden, that's when I would have first met Mud Family and Mongo and all that lot.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking 92, 93, you know, we're really going back. And so I went to Have a Nice Day, Anthony Cooper again. I was in the basement there. And then I moved to a place on Oxford Street, mid-90s. And MK came into the picture, DJ MK. He was selling mixtapes. And he kind of joined with me, and he would sell from my little spots. And he would look after the shop, and I'd go and get lunch and all that sort of thing. So we became great friends. And then eventually I moved, probably 95, 96, to the basement of Dark and Cold in Darblay Street, the clothes shop, hip-hop clothes shop.
Yeah.
And there it really started to kick in. You know, people like Mad Skills came down. Nas came there.
Wow.
Fusion was working for one of the magazines, I think Touch or something. And one day he just walked in with Nas, me and MK. And it was almost like took us by surprise, and we didn't know what to say. And we all kind of looked at each other. And Nas is just standing there, you know.
Can you imagine? Could you imagine, Pete? Could you imagine if we had like the camera phones in? There'd be like so many incredible photographs and video footage.
Well, one of the things I always used to have a loaded camera, and it was film, you know. So I did take a lot of pictures, and I'm really grateful that I did, but we didn't have a camera that day, unfortunately. But we had some really fun times, and that's when lots of people came into the picture. Kama breakdancer.
Yeah, of course, from a Foundation crew.
Foundation's crew. He's, you know, still one of my best mates to this day.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I DJ'd at his wedding on a beach in Thailand. You know,
he's a great guy.
Amazing,
big shout out to Kama. Yeah, brilliant.
Big shout out to Kama, man. He's an absolute legend. Yeah, and Scam, who I know you've interviewed.
Yeah.
Scam. I don't know whether you know this, but Scam came up with the name Deal Real.
Yeah, no, I heard.
You
heard. Yeah,
you heard that, right?
Yeah,
and I have to credit Scam. If he got £1 for every time Deal Real was mentioned,
I know. I should have asked Scam, how did he come up with that name, Deal Real?
He was kind of like, well, you deal the real. And he was that play on Real Deal, because we knew people would be like Real Deal, but it was like, no, you deal the real, you deal real music. And, you know, and it's stuck. It's stuck. Yeah. I liked it. We just liked it. We were like, okay. But yeah, so Tony Vegas was working at Mr. Bongo's when I was still at Handspun in the basement there. And he left Bongo's, and I was looking to move it on a step then. So this is probably late 96, early 97. And I said to Tony, do you fancy teaming up and opening up a better spot, you know, a bigger shop? And I found the space around the corner where we ended up in Knoll Street. And we both put our record collections in. Tony was a balls out kind of guy. And he said, well, we're going to need some collateral. We didn't have any cash. So he said, if I do it, will you do it? Put your record collection in. We both had big record collections by then. I said, okay, well, we'll keep 100 records or so each, because I can't get everything.
No Marvin Gaye.
No Marvin Gaye.
No.
and we put our record collection. That's how the collateral that we used to start Deal Real. And we opened in April 97. And and then it really went kind of to another level. Do you know what I mean? Of like Deal Real was the next level. Really, it was big.
It become a major hub. Well, I'm gonna get into Deal Real in a bit, but going back a little bit before, obviously quite a way back before Deal Real. Was you going to any of like the early hip hop jams?
Not particularly. I wasn't one for. I mean, I like clubbing, but I prefer to DJ at them rather than be at them. I went a lot clubbing, did a lot of clubbing in the early to mid 80s. And probably my favorite club of all in London was the Electric Ballroom in Camden. The Jazzy Funk Nights with George Power. I think Derek B was DJing then. And they had the jazz room upstairs with IDJ and I think incredible. Paul Murphy. Yeah, that was incredible, that club. And I was out most weekends at those sort of things in the 80s. By the time the 90s came, I was probably in the pub most nights. And it changed to that, and there's beer and it was less. But we went to the Hop. The Hop started in so that's to answer your question. Probably didn't go to a lot of those hip hop jams. No.
But was you going like the WAG Club and places like that?
Yes. Oh yeah. Went all the WAG and Gossips. Remember going to Gossips quite a bit and different places. You know, when I lived in New York for that year, that was kind of out every night that was full on, you know. And I kind of almost burned myself out. I kind of did it all in that year. I did like 10 years clubbing.
It just wiped you out. Yeah.
Well, it was like, you know, you can't, you know, you get back and then your life moves on, you change. But I didn't. So I wasn't going massively to like hip hop. I used to go to things, but not. You wouldn't see me in like loads of clubs and things. More Subterranean a bit later on. You know, like. There was a bit of a gap where I probably wouldn't go clubbing, and then more like the later 90s, Subterranean. There was lots of jams at Sub, and we used to go to Subterranean because it's a great spot that I liked. You know,
that's a great spot. Going back to like obviously the digging days. I mean, finding those musical rare gems is like a big part of being a DJ, and you know, like basically going through the crates. I mean, where, you know, in the early years, whereabouts was you going record digging? Was you going like places like Groove Records or charity shops?
I went to Groove. Didn't go to Groove massive amounts. Again, I was quite young, but started to. Bluebird Records.
Bluebird,
going to Bluebirds quite a lot. I mean, there was a few spots in Essex, to be honest. There was a place called Record Man in Raleigh, and they'd get all the import stuff. Essex had quite a good jazz funk scene. And I went out with a girl, one of my first loves. She worked in a shop called Parrot Records, and there were a few. I posted a bag on Instagram recently. Somebody came up. It was amazing to see that again. I went out with her for years, and she worked in there every Saturday. So I'd listen to Robbie Vincent in the morning, write my list, and then I'd go in and try and get as much as I could. You know, we'd be able to get hold of some pretty good stuff. I mean, I suppose I'm a much deeper digger now because of the internet and all that, and, you know, contacts and all that sort of thing. But
well, it's funny because because it's funny, P, isn't it? Because nowadays, what you're doing, instead of digging through the crates to get the vinyl, you're probably digging online, isn't it? Through the Discogs and like eBay and things like that. Oh, look, there's a gem there. So instead of going in,
I spend hours scrolling.
Digging online, online.
Most of my records I buy now is probably midnight, 11 o'clock at night, laying in bed, you know, buying records. For a 55-year-old like me, that suits me. But, you know, you can't replace record shops and the community. I've met, most of my friends have been through, you know, I've met through record shops, just shops and record shops and memories of shops, record shops. Yeah. There's a massive importance to all of that.
And when you're going through them crates, you get that waft, that smell of the vinyl and the
mate.
Yeah, it's like,
I close my eyes sometimes and drift back to some of the places we went to in New York. We went to a bloke, we met this bloke on a flea market, me and Rob, and got chatting, and he said, I've got a loft full of records. I mean, we're talking a loft, New York loft. We went up to this place and he said, you can have anything for $1. And this was just, you know, millions and millions of records up there. We were just crusty and dusty and finding.
It must have been like you. It must have been like you was in heaven, like, you know.
I mean, I don't get. There's an excitement I've always got, and it's never gone away, from finding a record or buying a record and picking up a record and, you know, and looking at
feeling it and
never gone away. Yeah, never gone away. And I get excited now as I did when I was 14, 15, first buying records. When I find something, you know, that, you know. So, and some of those tricks, finding stuff, you know.
And the maddest thing is, because, you know, back then there wasn't any kind of turntable that you could carry around with you. Not like today, you can't buy turntables and play it.
No. I mean, I would buy a lot of stuff. I look on a record and I see who played drums and who produced it. Like Wayne Henderson, anything with Wayne Henderson. I'll get that. I bought some duffers. Most of it's brilliant, you know. I mean, nowadays you can lay in bed and I can, what's that, I wonder? So I go on YouTube and listen to it. You know, and it suits me. You know, I've done years of digging. I still love it, but you know, it suits me to buy the way you can buy now. But I feel ashamed for young kids. I really hope. It seems nice that the vinyls come around and kids are, you know, hope that kids are still getting into it, and because it's amazing. I mean, the days in Deal Real would start early in the morning, and just some people. I remember a guy saying to me, "I've been here since you opened," and he left with me as it closed up. He was there all day long.
I bet it didn't. I bet it didn't feel like a job. I bet you walked in from the morning and you just felt at home, and you just like felt, you know,
Yeah, it was. There is a funny thing though. I was talking to Harry Love about this the other night, actually, about experience, because it's a different experience though when it's yours. There was a whole heap of stress involved too. Running a business, trying to pay rent for a shop in Soho. I mean, I couldn't do it now. And so everybody else just had the fun experience. Like Harry was saying about when he DJ'd, when you do a DJ night, it's all these little things like, oh, have I eaten dinner? How am I going to get there? How am I going to get home? Have I got the right records? There's all this kind of little stress surrounded by it. The people come along and stand there and watch you and have a wicked night and then go home. You know, so there is a kind of different experience. So there was all that people didn't see the stress of it. It's hard. But it was also beautiful. It was really, you know, it was amazing. I mean, the people that I met and the people that I still, you know, and still love to this day. And the experiences of it, I wouldn't change it.
Well, it's
I'm not a rich man.
No. It's mad because I spoke to SkinnyMan on the phone literally a few days ago. And Skinny said like that, you know, one person I'd love you to interview is Pete Bond, Pete Real.
Oh,
and I said,
him, man.
he's a great guy. But well, I said to him, Skinny, look, I've got this sorted. I've been talking to Pete for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't trying to put it off. I was kind of thinking nobody's going to want to hear this. It's like But one thing I will say, like getting to people that used to come in, SkinnyMan, Mongo, like a brother now. We still talk. We still, you know, he's massive. Mad love for those guys I used to joke and say that it was like Mud Family's West End office, and it was kind of people's West End office. Like Hammer used to sell records and he used to come down with his bag straight to my shop, drop off his bag and then go off and do his stuff and then come back, and people used to do that. Can we leave that here? It was kind of like people's West End destination. There's the shop. I mean, the Mud Family, the dogs would come in and go down in the basement, the mad dogs, and Skinny would be in, you know, it was, but that was what I wanted. I wanted it to be more than a shop. I didn't want to just be selling records and be like, oh, get out of here with that. And no, come, be, you know, let's all. It was, and I, you know, to me, Deal Real was everybody that came in and everybody that was a part of it. The little guy who maybe stood in the corner and never opened his mouth because he was too shy and he was 14 years old. He was still real. He was part of it as much as Big L or OC being in there and all the pictures that you see and everybody goes, oh, that's amazing. Deal Real was all the people, all the kids, everybody whose life it touched.
Everybody made it. What? Who was working in the shop?
Right, I have written things down because I will. Obviously, I don't want to leave people out.
No.
Right, to start with, Scam, I have to shout. Who named it, didn't I?
Yeah,
my mate Darren. If people remember a guy called Darren, he's still one of my best friends. And I need to mention him because he was right there from the Camden days and he helped me out over the years. He's like a friend and he worked for me off and on. DJ MK, of course, Tony Vegas, DJ Cuckoo, Vic, you know, he was me and DJ. We DJ'd a lot together. Estelle, of course, you mentioned Estelle. She did rather well for herself, didn't she?
She's done all right.
Estelle, she has. Estelle. People remember Del. He was always behind the decks. Shorty Blitz, Teddy Ted, Sarah Love, of course. Really, really important Sarah Love.
Big time. Listen, big shout out to Sarah. I spoke to Sarah funny enough the other day as well.
Yeah, well, I spoke to her last night and she spoke, but we had a really good chat last night. She's family, you know. Her family's my family. We're family. It goes quite deep with her. Harry Love, and I've just made up. Me and Harry unfortunately had a bit of a fallout a few years ago. Family, you know, again, family. You do often.
Yeah.
I reached out to him a few weeks ago, and we're talking again. He's lovely, and you know, we've made up, and it's all really good. And Harry was always behind the decks in there, always, you know, he never worked there, but he was, you know. So it was those were the main people. People like DJ Madder, he put the lighting in.
Oh, did
he? Built.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's an electrician. That's what I mean. Little things like that. It was built by, you know, hip hop people. I mean, Tony Vegas' dad, rest in peace, marvelous man. He built all the counter and everything for us. But Remy Ruff painted the inside. Shock One did the two big cut-out graph pieces. Now he's doing all that skeleton stuff, but he did these beautiful big cut-out pieces. So there was lots of input from, you know, different people. But Madder, not many people remember that. Madder put the lighting in, so,
wow.
You know, Madder lit the place for us.
Yeah.
Cool, amazing. Like, little things like that. But
and basically, Deal Real, you know, it's such an important part of UK and especially obviously London hip hop, because as I said at the start, it was kind of like the hub or the cornerstone of hip hop. You know, everybody would congregate there. And didn't you have some kind of like a battle night on a Friday, like an open mic session where people would let off their flames on the mic?
Yeah, this was DJ Excalibur started this in '98. Now, I contacted him the other night because I haven't spoken to him for years, and we chat. It's really nice linking. This has made me link doing this for you as well, which is a really good thing. Yeah. And see, and all these things, I didn't realize how much it meant to him, and it kind of changed his life in a little way. He was 17 years old, and he came to me in the shop, and he said, would you mind if I organised an open mic night here? And I was like, cool, man, that's a great idea. You know, would you be able to stay open? Yeah, I'll stay as long as you want. So he called it Live from the Legends, and he did about 4 of them, I think, in total. He was still at sixth form. I mean, that's amazing to me. At 17, I wouldn't have said boo to a goose. And this guy's amazing. And he's Mr. Thing. These are things he reminded me of. Mr. Thing, Harry Love, and him were on the decks on the first one. He remembers. SkinnyMan, Mud Family, Reveal, Cope, Out DeVille, Capo, Doc Brown. I don't even remember Doc Brown being in there, but Maestro, Jargon, and Roger Muffin. All these people that went on to do stuff were all instrumental in those open mic nights. But don't get me mixed up with the Deal Real that opened after that, because they ripped me off. That's a different story. I won't go into detail. No. But they used to do open mic. That was after 2000, and they did a thing in Carnival Street. They stole my name, and when you mentioned Amy Winehouse, that was them. That wasn't me. Right. So that's a different thing. But it's cool. It's all good. You know, it's all, I don't care. But But we used to have open mics all the time. You know, we would have a mic we always had a mic under the counter, and often it would break out into open mic. One really funny story. I've got to tell you this one, Steve. These 2 guys came in one day, and I don't know whether we had the mic out already or not, but this guy came in all braggadocious. My man here, I hear you have open mics here. My man here can beat anyone. You name it, anyone in here, bring it on, bring it on. I was like, yeah, cool. Got the mic out, give him this mic. And he was okay. He was not that good. It was like the heavens opened and God went, Peter, have this. In the door walks Chester P, the greatest freestyle.
Wow, yeah.
And I was like, so these 2 guys are standing, he's done his little bit. And I said, Chester, this guy, he's battling here. Like,
Chester is a wizard. Chester's a wizard.
Mind blown. So this was one of the best I've ever seen him. He grabbed the mic and I threw a beat on. And he started rhyming, and then he pulled a magazine off the magazine rack. He'd never missed a beat. He never missed a line. Pulled this, and he was going through the magazine, rhyming what was in this magazine. And these 2 guys, I watched these 2 guys. They walked backwards out the shop. We've been beaten. No. I mean, Chester probably won't remember that. He's probably done 1,000 battles, but it was hilarious. It was a brilliant moment.
I mean, Chester is a wordsmith. I mean, I've seen him like
a monster.
Yeah, he's an absolute beastie. I mean, I see him at the place in Finsbury, the Silver Bullet, and he was on stage. I'm not lying. He was on stage, literally rhyming for. It felt like about 20 minutes to half an hour. Without a pause.
No. They used to come in the shop. We used to have to like sort of after hours things as well. We'd stay out. If people were there, we didn't close, and we'd often, and the beers would flow and some vodka would flow, and we would have like. And there's some footage actually Dark and Cold took of Chester in the shop after closing, and SkinnyMan as well. That's on YouTube. Yeah. I'll put that up later. It's wicked. But those guys used to freestyle all the time. I mean, sometimes, Skinny always just seemed to be rhyming. Do you know what I mean? He just.
Oh, Skinny's a beast as well.
Yeah.
And Mongo, all them guys, I mean, super talented without a shadow of a doubt.
And really kind of real, I think, if that's the right. I don't really like saying keeping it real, but they were genuinely,
on the level. On the level.
Yeah, really hearts of gold, but you had to treat them right, and they treated you with respect. Yeah. I mean, that was something I said to Excalibur the other night when we were talking about this. We filled that shop till 11 o'clock at night with 17-year-old kids. I was in my 30s then, and they were so respectful. A lot of people wouldn't even entertain that, be like, what's going to happen? Never nothing. It was all love. You know what I mean? And I really learned, I think, from that you just show people respect and give them time, and they, And from that, that's when I first sort of became aware of Maestro, and then so we put out one single that you see that one, Maestro, Kiss That Ass Goodnight, produced by Cuckoo, and this was 98, I think. Might put a year on it, or 99, but 98. And there's a track on there with the words out with Jargon and SkinnyMan as well. So that was really, really cool to work on.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
I might have a spare copy. I'll send you one if I've got it. But engineered by Daz IQ as well. Daz and Bunny Bread and Gus and all that lot from that crew were all big part of Deal Real. Got to give shout outs to Bunny and everybody.
Oh yeah, big shouts.
I mean, everybody that came through, there was
everyone made it. Everyone made it.
Everyone. Yeah. Rodney P and Roots Maneuver. It was Skits. It was just everyone really. Yeah, it's hard to name people without not. I had to give a big shout out to Dexter, Mr. Dexter from Brotherhood as well. He sent me he filmed the last day. about half an hour footage of the last day of Deal Real. And it's taken him 20 years to send it to me, but he just sent me. I got a message from him the other day. What's your email? And next thing I know, he sent me this film. It's amazing, you know, to see that again. Because you said earlier, nobody was filming anything then. We didn't have camera.
No.
So to see it makes it even special. I think there's a kind of the fact that everybody's filming everything now kind of loses it a little bit. I like memories, you know. I like memories. I'm glad I haven't got Marvin Gaye on film. I'm glad I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you hang on. I don't know. Probably the most amazing band I've ever seen were Maze. And I went 3 or 4 times to Maze. I mean, they're legendary, those gigs. I haven't got a picture. I haven't got anything, but I can feel it. I can feel the atmosphere. There wasn't a camera in sight, but the whole of, it was Hammersmith, wasn't it? The whole place was one, you know. We all roared at the same time. We all moved at the same time, and you know, all these people swinging around cameras now. Just for me, it kills it really.
Pete, you're totally right. There's tiny little sparks. I mean, there's little bits in my life I remember. One of them was seeing Public Enemy at Hammersmith. You know, things I wish I had gone to. Yeah, that was mind blowing. I see the Who as well in 1975. I think.
Seriously, 75.
Cholton Football Club. Yeah, I lived in Cholton and it overlooked the heights. I was only about 6 or 7, but I vaguely remember seeing it and looking down and like the Who.
Wow,
yeah, it was incredible.
Wow, see, that's life.
Yeah, and it's all there partly, you know, in the brain. I can vaguely remember.
Yeah, and you kind of feel it too. And I don't want the memory of going to see Marvin with looking at a camera to make sure I've got him in view. I don't want that. And to me, they're also, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a cynic, but it's almost like they're doing it to show everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, just enjoy it. Don't worry, just get involved and enjoy, you know, the 100%,
moment. 100%.
Yeah.
And Pete, going back to like the DJs back in the early days, you know, who else was kind of influencing you back on the set? I mean, was you like listening to like the pirate radio stations?
Oh God! So going right back to the early days. So I'm in Essex. I'm in Southend, so I can't pick much up. No. But I had this really lovely little Hitachi box by my bed, and I could get. It was called Horizon Radio then.
Horizon,
solar radio.
Yeah.
And that was what my radio was tuned into 24 hours a day. I would wake up. I used to be an engineer, and I'd wake up at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, and it would go on. And it would, you know, till I got ready to go, and then I'd get home from work, and it would go on again. I was obsessed. So that was really my radio. Was that, and then Robbie Vincent, and you know, to Radio London, and that was. I'm a massive Robbie Vincent fan. He's influenced a lot of what I bought, but. Then years later, I'm standing there with Tony Monson, who had High Supply. He was one of the distributors that we bought records of. And big up to Tony Monson and Basil as well. They both ran a van each. They were they're legends, man. Yeah. I'm still friends with Tony Monson to this day, DJ with him twice a year. But I'm standing there with Tony Monson, didn't know that much about him at the time. And then we're talking about solar radio stuff. You know, he said solar radio. I said, oh man, I grew up on solar radio. He said, yeah, that's my station. And then I got to know Tony was solar radio. He you know, so that comes around, you know. So Tony's now a friend of mine, maybe mainly through Sarah, but you know, it's really weird how that was so influential to me, Horizon and solar radio. And then I'm buying records off Tony 15 years later, and that's now I'm mad. DJing with him. It's mad. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the beauty of the pirate radio stations, which we have to make clear, is that they was playing the music that most of the other kind of commercial channels were not playing. So
it's the only place you could hear it. Yeah. I mean, as I say, Robbie Vincent did that 2 hours on a Saturday or whatever, but that weren't enough. I mean, you know, and he was mainly new stuff. So I would be hearing Mining Back, you know, John Handy and stuff like that. They always spring to mind. All these, and Lonnie Liston Smith expansions and all that sort of stuff. You'd hear that on all the pirates. And then then you get some of the electro stuff. It's a bit later on. You get all the boogie and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, like you say, you wouldn't hear it anywhere else. Community radio, it was called, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I actually DJ'd in 1988, I think it was, just after I got back from New York. I did a bit on, it was called Star FM. It was on Harrow Road. It was a pirate radio. And that's where I first met Destiny. He was on before us. And me and my mate did this little show for a while. And then after us was a reggae show, was was Eastwood, you know, from Clint Eastwood and General Saints. Stop That Train. They did a big tune anyway, a reggae thing, and he used to come in and do the show after us, and it was mad, you know. Started to meet these kind of mad music people and Destiny again, still in touch, you know, from time to time. But I met him in '88 doing pirate radio, in Harrow Road.
Oh wow, Pete, was you going? Did you ever go to the Carnival then? Because obviously you're on about Harrow Road over in West. Yeah.
I ended up living. I mean, that's kind of my adopted. I DJ'd on a sound system 2 years running in Carnival in '90. Yeah. That was probably the best DJ experience of my life. 90. I know it was '94. It was either '94 or '95. I reckon it was '94 and '95. It could have been '93 and '94, but definitely '94 because we had this flyer made and I've still got a copy of that. Yeah. I DJ'd. I was playing hip hop then.
Oh wow.
And it was amazing. I've never DJed to like a massive, you know, just a massive crowd in the street, and I was shaking. I was shaking, putting the first, and I remember the first record I played was Dr. Dre Day, and I'm shaking, putting it on. I'm thinking, did
it go off? Like everyone was going crazy.
It went off. I mean, it went off like, you know, just about, and within minutes, my confidence just went zunk. All the nerves went, and I'm stopping records and going, "Come on, and starting again." It was phenomenal experience. I mean, I was blessed, you know, to have been offered. Somebody asked me, I never chased it. And somebody said to me, it was Derek B's cousin, I think, Dave Boland. Yeah, Dave. And he had a sound system called Bass by Any Means Necessary. And he used to play a lot of Latin and jazz. So he came to me and he said, I need some hip hop. Would you come and play like a few hours of hip hop? Yeah, go on then. You know, and MK came on with me and did a hip hop set. And IG Culture, I'd got to know IG then. And he came and did a little PA on there as well. I said to IG, do you want to come up and do some MCing? And yeah, it was mad. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. That was probably, but yeah, I used to go to a carnival. I mean, I first went to Carnival in probably about 85. When Mastermind was still in the cages underneath the West.
That's when I went, 85. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
And Norman J was DJing on like you know what painter and decorators use in tables. Yeah. He was DJing on this painting and decorators table. There was no bus or nothing like that. It was all kind of really like underground.
It was brilliant. I loved it. I mean, the last time I went to Carnival was probably late 90s. And I didn't have a particularly great. The music had changed. Lots of it was just not my thing. I was there to boogie and, you know. And the last one I really remember enjoying, there was a load of us, and it was when sort of swing beat was out. And I kind of like swing beat. I don't really play that much anymore, but you know, it was good dance music. And I remember like really throwing, you know, really dancing, getting down to that. That was probably one of the last ones I really enjoyed, probably 92, 90, apart from the ones I played at. But
yeah, because the swing beat era, that's a funny era. I mean, it didn't actually last that long, but when it did, it was actually brilliant, wasn't it?
It was wicked.
We used to go to a swing beat club on a Wednesday night at Legends in Old Burlington Street, a Wednesday, and it was pure. It was pure.
I used to go to Legends.
Yeah, it was a pure swing beat night, and I'll tell you what, it was wicked. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, because people used to really dance to that, and that's in the 90s. I DJed quite a lot because when I met DJ Cuckoo, we ended up doing sort of parties and did a few West End clubs, and so swing beat was part of that, you know. And we used to do, you know. So I would play a bit of hip hop, bit of swing beat, and I used to love it though. It was
great. And did you ever get into the Washington, like the go-go scene as well?
Oh yes. One of my biggest regrets in life is not seeing Trouble Funk play because
What Hammersmith?
Did you ever see them?
No, I missed them.
Yeah. And they played a few years ago, and I didn't go again. Nah. I'm a bit of a lazy sod sometimes. I'll talk myself out. But
you should have gone. You kick yourself and say, "Oh, why didn't I go?"
I know. Yeah. And when I do go, and you have those epic nights, and you think, oh, mate, you know, got to get to more of these Get Jams. So
have you got a few favourites? Like, do you like Arcade Funk Tilt?
Yes, I've got Arcade Funk on 12. Yeah, love Arcade Funk.
Fire
I mean, Trouble Funk, Drop the Bomb. I do on my radio shows now. I occasionally I'll do I've done it about 3 times, I think, in the last sort of 6 months. I'll do a little go-go set, you know, 5 or 6 tunes in a row. You made me think, actually, I might do that next weekend.
Please.
Yeah, I'll do a little go-go set for you.
Yeah, please. I'd love it.
I haven't got masses. I've probably sold them at Deal Real. I had quite a big go-go selection, you know, which I haven't really got anymore. But I'm probably buying more records now than I've ever bought, actually, sort of consistently. You know, I'm buying So I'm always, now you've reminded me, things trigger things, and then I go, I'll probably be on there later going, oh, go. Yeah, let's get some more go. So yeah, but I'm going to do a go set next week. Yeah.
I love go.
Love go. No, I like dance. That energy of those their dance records. They're if you like dancing, I think go-go's a wicked music to dance to.
I mean, your Pete, honestly, your musical knowledge literally blows me away. I mean, when I tune into your shows, I mean, you play, for anything from kind of like the Funkadelic, Marvin Gaye. I mean, you're dropping Talking Heads, Prince. I mean, it's a real kind of wicked selection of tunes. Yeah,
I mean, it's really funny because for years, people have always said to me, "Oh, it's amazing your knowledge and all that," and I never really thought I had a big knowledge. I'm thirsty. It's kind of, I don't remember anything, but I can remember who played bass on an album from 1975. It's really weird. It's the only thing that really sticks, to be honest. And I can remember covers and I do remember that. It's kind of almost like autism when you just remember, and I'm sort of realizing now, doing those shows, we'll probably go on to the shows on Streetsounds, has allowed me to really stretch in that, and allowed me, I've never had a time or an opportunity to be able to, I've got 6 hours broadcasting, over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 3 hours each.
7 hours, that's
a lot of time.
7
till 10,
7 a.m. till 10 a.m.
Yeah. And I'm allowed to play what I like, and I'm putting my heart into it. And you're hearing my collection. You're hearing my whole collection. You're hearing 40 years of collecting, and I'm playing jazz, and you've heard, I play jazz. I love my jazz. And soul. I always like to start off with like mellower stuff. So
that's right.
Play the two steps.
And you end up playing hardcore hip hop at the end, or
and hip hop. I do hip hop because they're breakfast. It's really difficult because hip hop is so hard because of all the language and the subject matter of a lot of it. There's stuff I'd love to play, but because they're breakfast shows, so I don't play hip hop every week. I do it once every 2-3 weeks. I play a hip hop set because I have to really go through stuff and find stuff that isn't.
Streetsounds radio is great. I mean, you got Andy Smith and you got Rob Hardman. I mean, some really good.
Yeah, well, Andy Smith is the one that gave the. I mean, he phoned me up because we were on I was with Andy and a few of the DJs we were on a previous radio station called Funky Essex. That's where I first got into the radio thing, because I didn't know I'd got an opportunity to do it, and I didn't think I would be able to. I didn't think wasn't sure, and immediately that I started to do it, it was like swim. It was just natural to me, and I felt this confidence, and I thought, I like this, I'm going to keep doing this.
That's brilliant.
And then I got my own show, because I started with a friend of mine, and then I got my own show. And then when Streetsounds started, Andy Smith he's the station manager, and he rang me up and he said, we want to offer you the 2 breakfast shows, Saturday and Sunday, 3 hours each. And I nearly fell over. I was like, jumped. Amazing. Deal real clothes that weren't particularly healthy. I call them the dark years. And I never really thought I thought it was over. I thought, I'll just get a normal 9 to 5 and life will trundle on, and that's it. I've done my bit. I've made me mark. I'm quite proud of what I did with Deal Real, and it marks a lot of people's lives. And that's really, really, that I feel blessed that I had that opportunity. But I never thought I'd do it again. And I'm getting this second, it's coming around.
Like a second wind. Yeah,
a second wind, and I'm sober, and I'm not drinking,
Pete, it's never
up.
No, it's right. No, listen. It's never over, my man. Listen, it's as Jimmy Castor said, it's only just begun.
It's
just begun. Yeah.
And this is where I want to give a massive, massive shout and a massive credit to Sarah Love.
Yeah.
Because she never lost the faith in me and Deal Real, and we've never not been friends, but for years and years, she would try to say, she said, Pete, we're going to have a Deal Real reunion. People go have a reunion. And I would say, no one's going to come, Sarah. I don't want to do it. I don't want to face that failure. Who's going to want to come? No one cares. The shop was 10 years ago, blah, 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 blah. She said, people still talk about it, Pete. You just don't know. You don't know. You're not up here anymore. You don't see it. And then eventually in 2012, I went, all right, because she said, I remember what she said to me, and it was brilliant. She said, if 20 people turn up, and she said, between 4 of us, we'll get 20 people. Agreed? And I went, yep. She said, all right, 20 people turn up, we should end up in a bar somewhere, and we all play records. It'll be a wonderful evening. We can all get together. And I went, you know what? Okay, let's do it. So in April of 2012, I got Bunny Bread, DJ Cuckoo, myself, and Sarah Love.
Is that Mau?
At Mau. And because Bunny Bread had a connection at Mau, so he organised that, and we launched the first one. And honestly, I could cry. Everyone came out the woodwork. It was beautiful. I actually bottled it. I didn't DJ that night. I was too nervous, and those guys were brilliant. So, but the heads that came, it was just like, you know, everyone came out the woodwork, and it was all love. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? You know, you remember me? You remember the shot? It was like, I couldn't really believe it, you know. And that was all down to Sarah. She pushed, and that boosted me. It went, oh my God, you know, there is something in this, you know. So we did, and we carried that on for a few years. We always did it just sporadically because we used to wait for a late license at Mau because it was just a bar. We occasionally, about 4 times a year, they'd get a late license, and we'd try and grab a couple of those. So, and we just did it, the 4 of us. That was Deal Real. It was me, Bunny Bread, DJ Cuckoo, and Sarah Love. And I really honed my DJ skills again on those, because I played hip hop a bit, and then I'm like, one night I'm getting ready to cut, and I'm like, those guys all play hip hop. Let me take a load of boogie up there. And I dropped this boogie set, and people were cheering, and it was just that thing. And I went, okay, this is because really that's right back to my roots and my start. And I love playing all the boogie and the disco and all that. And I thought, well, let me take. So I sort of just really started developing that side, and it's kind of stuck with me, you know. And I still love playing hip hop, but that's much more. I play that much more now. Like the boogie, you've heard the end of normally the last hour of the radio shows is me kind of just having a bit of a DJ set, really. And Pete, the good thing about the internet radio station, the Streetsounds station, and other stations as well, they do the same thing. Is that I can't always listen in from 7 till 10 in the morning, but I always get it on catch up. I get it on catch up. I know you do. Yeah. Well, and that's wicked. And that's what I mean. I've just sent this morning show. I dedicated that Talking Heads tune to my mate in New York, and I've sent it to him, and he's going to listen to that tomorrow. You know,
wicked. What we got to make clear, right, about the music is that music brings us together.
Yes,
it brings us together.
Yes. Yes.
And it gives, you know, in times of
trouble.
It's a
universal language.
Yeah.
It's a universal language. Anywhere in the world. Yeah. I can go to somebody who speaks Swahili and doesn't understand the word. I put a record on and we both dance.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in the world that does that.
Nothing else like it. Yeah.
You can have a drum and two people who never met and never communicated can in each other's arms and dance. That to me is mind blowing.
It's the universal language. You know, it's a
universal language. Yeah, absolute universal language. It's amazing. Because of this lockdown thing, it's given me a focus. It's given me something every week to go out. Because I you know, if I didn't get out to do this, I might have gone a bit mental.
Yeah.
So I take a week preparing my shows, and then I go down to the station's 10-minute drive. I mean, it's unbelievable how this thing's happened to me. It's a 10-minute drive from my house. So I leave my house at sort of 6:15 in the morning with the bags of records, stick them in, get there, set up, and it's given me this kind of focus. But it's also, I have so many people message me and say, you're like the vaccine, you've got us through, you help us with it, with the music. And that's just...
It means everything. Yeah, it's the same with these interviews I've been doing for years now. You know, people were saying, you know, during lockdown, I've really helped them in some way by them watching interviews that I've done with, obviously, you know, Man Parish or you know, Nucleus, or you know, they're like, wow, this you know, thank you so much. For doing these interviews. Exactly,
because I sit I lay in bed and watch your shows, and I'm like, and I think, well, I haven't got anything to say. I watched one of Steve's, because there's so many I haven't seen yet. And I mean, the one with Blade, where he took you on and all around the common.
I took him around New Cross. Yeah,
Matt. I mean, just you know, I mean, I'd known Blade for years, but you know, I didn't know all that. And I mean, actually, it's really funny because I think probably said this to Sarah a few years ago. Somebody needs to document. You know, as we're getting older and we're going to start, and rest in peace, Ty, you know, we lose people. And somebody needs, and I actually had thought about doing it, but as I said, I'm a lazy sod and I'm not as driven as you. And what you've done is is just—it's incredible. You're writing in the encyclopedia of hip hop. You know, you're documenting this story.
Well, listen, Pete. I really appreciate that. But there's loads of people before me that have been documenting history. So I've just kind of come along. But the good thing about it now is that we got like legends such as like Blade's just launched a new YouTube channel, which is absolutely which is absolutely brilliant. You got this guy, he's named called the Killer. He's doing interviews now. He's been doing them for about 2 years.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a couple of years now, which is
cool.
Great channel, interviewing graffiti artists. So, there's a lot of people documenting our great history now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but I think the lovely thing about you doing it and Blade doing it as well is that you're from the culture and that you know us. There's a different vibe to if somebody who was doing this interview with me now, it'd be a totally different interview. And people like me, record shops. I mean, this is one of the things I kind of was thinking. Like, really, what is it that important? But when you put that thing, I think one of us put a thing on Facebook the other day, and I got loads of comments saying, amazing to have it from a record shop point of view. And I thought, oh, cool, okay. It's nice. It's good. Because record shops are really important. I mean, in my life.
Massively important. Actually, and talking of record shops, right? I mean, back in the 80s, I'm sure there was like something like over 2,000 independent record shops throughout the UK. And now, obviously, now that's kind of dwindled down to about 200, which is a really, it's really sad to see. But what would you say was the reason behind, a lot of the record shops shutting down?
Well, for me, and because just when I closed in 2000, there was a little string of like Bongos were not that far off. They were maybe a year or so later, but for me, it was all the downloading thing happened, and and it really was a struggle to sell vinyl. There was never much profit in it, but it was also gentrification. Like, rents were tripling, and Soho, to have a shop in Soho now, I stand a chance, so I think it was a mixture of things, but I think really it was the drop off in vinyl sales. I mean, that's increasing again now, and I'm really, really happy to see that, because I do think that vinyl is the only way to listen to. It's my personal choice, and a lot of other, and there's good reasons. But I do think that record shops, I think most of them suffered from that, and the ones that saw it through, I have hats off, because there was some tough years, I think, for a lot of people.
It all kind of started with the CDs, didn't it? And then after the
CDs,
the MP3 files started coming out.
And when it was downloading music. I mean, I never downloaded music, but that was a real killer. And also, I suppose, shopping online. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I do go to record shops. I still go to record shops, but I also buy online.
Let's quickly go back to the music very quickly before we round up a bit. Because obviously I've got a few more nice questions for you that I've got.
Go shoot.
Cover. So, what's one of your would you say one of your rarest tunes?
Oh God, that's so difficult.
I know.
Well, things like I'm not really. I've probably got some quite rare jazz bits. I'm not really. I don't care if something's rare. I'm not one of those. There's people I know that are like. They go like, you're going to put Michael Jackson rock with me on, and they'll be like, oh, it's like, no. A brilliant record is a brilliant record to me. One of the things like that springs to mind is with nice memories attached. It's probably not worth huge amounts, but it was when I was in New York, one of the trips, going back to Tom Silverman gave us the Clear Lake Auditorium and Clear Vinyl. It only came out as a promo thing, and it's got the track with some of the old school rappers and Tribe and stuff. That's kind of a nice thing, it's got a memories and the double vinyl De La Soul they gave me as well on the second album that's numbered.
That's some of the old hip hop stuff.
Yeah, I don't know really. It's hard.
I bet if you was to give me a selection of your favorite kind of hip hop tunes. I mean, if you was playing in a club, what kind of? Let's do that. What kind of hip hop tracks would you play? Playing a club.
Right, I'll tell you what I'll do first. There's two tunes that were two. I was sort of thinking about this today. Two massive tunes from Deal Real days that sold into the hundreds. Right. The first one was Skit's "Fingerprints of the Gods," and I think a lot of it was to do with Shorty. I always remember him playing that, pumping that really and the volume would go up. And we must have sold into the hundreds of that. And I remember what was his name from Ronin Records? He used to come and I'd phone him up, Jamie, I think it was. And he would laugh. He'd come in and say, how are you selling so many of these? He'd bring boxes. And I'd just say, I'll just bring 3 boxes, which was quite unheard of. You'd buy them in 5s and 10s, you know. And another tune that I was, and people will probably remember me for this, Cannabis, How We Roll. Dun, 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 dun. And I used to blast that. And the distributors used to say, you can't. I'd say, give me all the copies you got. No, Pete, you've got to let some of the other shops have them. And I'm like, no. And I sold hundreds and hundreds of that. So that was a really big tune for me. I mean, I love Redman's first album, classic stuff like that. I mean, when I play out with hip hop, it's kind of it's stuff from Tribe, Low in Theory, massively liked Watch Me Now, you know, Ultras. Oh God, Chill Rob G, big fan of Chill Rob G, doesn't get played enough. I quite like playing stuff that other people don't. I mean, I don't consciously play it, but I like to throw stuff in that people don't. Where My Home Is, Ill Al Scratch, that's a big tune for me. No, you know, when I play stuff like that, people go, I forgot about that tune. And I put something on my Deal Real page the other week. I put a tune by 10 Thieves called It Don't Matter. And that's a real bumping tune. I've got loads of reactions. I put it on there because I love it. And I just think, oh, look, wonder if people will remember this and enjoy that. And a lot of people go, oh, I remember that tune. And I like bumpy, dancey tunes, you know.
And about a little electro selection?
Oh, yeah. Well, I played two this morning and I can mix them. I quite like doing the blends and the mixes. And Twilight 22 and Cybertron Clear. Cybertron Clear.
Yeah.
I played those. I ended my show this morning on that. Play at Your Own Risk. Planet Patrol, probably one of my all-time faves. And the reason I like that is because it's got a touch of soul to it. Yeah. You know, this kind of singing thing. Nunk. Nunk. Ain't no funk. Everybody right there. Anyways, like that. Things like Paul Hardcastle, Rainforest. Lovely. Oh, I throw that in here. You know, it's a lovely British electro thing. So yeah. And of course, Planet Rock is the granddaddy of them all, isn't it? You know, and still to this day, I put that on, and it sounds like the future's not here yet.
Yes, it's a monster. You know I mean? It's a monster of a tune.
It's an unbelievable tune.
I interviewed a guy called Jay Burnett, and he was like the kind of like the studio engineer on Planet Rock. Oh. And do you know the section of Planet Rock when he goes rock with the Planet Rock? Don't stop. That's not Bam or anyone like that. That is Jay Burnett. Him doing that, and he wasn't even doing it for a vocoder. It's a rock with the Planet Rock.
Right.
That's him. That's him. Yeah.
I love.
Yeah. I'll have to send you his I'll send you his interview. It's really
because there's ones I've missed that I need to see. Yeah. See, I love details like that.
Oh,
Me too. That adds
and another bit as well was where I interviewed Man Parrish.
Yes, I saw that. Wicked.
And the bit when he said about the vocoder, he bought the vocoder, you know, to make the robotic sound.
Yeah.
He bought it from the Electric Light Orchestra, ELO.
Oh, that's right.
He bought ELO's vocoder. ELO.
I know. That is mad.
I mean, that's mad. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, from ELO to Man Parrish. And the thing I love about Man Parrish as well, because he was a mystery to me, Man Parrish. Who is Man Parrish? We didn't really know much about him. I didn't really ever see any articles. And then to find out it was fascinating that he wasn't really a hip hop head, and it was just New York. And that's why, I mean, have you been to New York? Have you ever?
I went over there for the 40th anniversary of the Zulu Nation back in 2013. But I wish I went there in the 80s.
In the 80s, it was incredible. It was incredible. It was a melting pot of. I lived on the Lower East Side, so my music. Well, kind of the stuff I just heard day to day was Latin, salsa, and all that stuff. I saw Ray Barretto play live on the corner of my street. It was unbelievable. But you would hear music, and like the booming Jeeps, you know, you would hear hip hop like that.
Proper booming systems.
I mean, when I used to go on my shopping trips, I'd walk around. Hey, little scratch, where my home is. That was everywhere that summer when I was in New York, and I remember walking into Rock and Soul, and he played it in there, and I just went. This is wicked, this tune, isn't it? And the guy, and then we connected, and he heard my English accent. He's like, so give me a copy, you know. But New York was I don't think it is so much now because it's gentrified and it's ruined. But
yeah.
It was incredible. You could, you go to different places and different music. You go walk in Central Park on a Sunday and do bongos and jazz, and there was something magic. So kind of a lot of that, like Man Parish, I get it. The club scene and what's his name, King of the Beats, who you met,
Mantronics. Yeah.
They're very much that Latin. They called it freestyle, didn't they? That was one of the sort of things for that. And I experienced some of that in, late in the clubs in sort of Nels and stuff in '87. So I'll tell you who else was absolutely incredible was the Latin Rascals. See again, yeah. The Latin Rascals. A Latin thing in New York, and I was really lucky enough to sort of see some of it, and it's pretty amazing. The percussion. Yeah. I was working at the restaurant, right? One day, all the busboys in the restaurant, busboys were the ones that all cleared the table. They were all Hispanic, right? All Latin. And one afternoon, we're setting up, and all of a sudden, I heard this wicked, like, drumming and all that. Where's that coming from? And I went round into the kitchen, and all the busboys were all sitting around, and all they had was saucepans, pans, plastic tubs, spoons, and making this music that was, to my ears, was just like, I wish I could do that. It was so, and I think there's a real Latin thing in New York. We don't have that in England so much. You don't really see it.
No,
it's amazing, and that was kind of what caught my imagination a lot when I was out there. The salsa thing, and I'm trying to get that. I play a bit of salsa in the shows, and I'm kind of picking that up now. That's something I'm sort of starting to buy a bit more of, and a lot of Latin stuff. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Pete, do you know what? I think the maddest thing about music is that. We could like dig away now and we could find some tracks which would blow our minds, which we'd never even heard of before. And we're like, wow. And the music is endless. If you look,
this is what this is what does blow my mind, is that almost on a weekly basis, I hear something, because I do lots of, looking and stuff, digging online. I played a jazz thing this morning that I only heard last week, and it's incredible. And I'm like, every week, yeah. And I've been collecting for years, and I've been aware of music, and I can't believe how much more there is. I've probably scratched a little tiny surface. I've got a big record collection, not humongous, but big record collection. And I cannot believe there's still tunes, and there's boogie tunes and stuff like that, which can't go that deep. All the time unearthing it. I mean, Zaff and releasing all these stuff, and you hear these albums, and you're like, I can't believe it. I was clubbing then. Where did this come from? And it is, and you say it's endless, which is actually brilliant, because I love discovering new stuff that I've never heard before. And it was back in the days of Deal Real. This young guy came in. This young guy came in called Harry Adams, Dirty Harry, he called himself. And again, he was probably 17 or 18. And he said to me, would you like to get involved in a magazine? He had this plan for this magazine, and we're going to call it The Big Smoke. And I'm like, yeah, I'm honoured. Thank you very much. And amazingly, he put, these are 2 copies I've got here. So that's the cover. That's Estelle's one.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the size of a record. That's the back with Lewis Parker on the back. And then the magazine. Bosh. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. And I was features editor on this, which basically means that I used to just phone people up and organise interviews and all that. But I'm really proud. I mean, this was an amazing thing.
You should get that framed, Well,
I'm done. Yeah, I probably will. I mean, I've got a few spare copies, so if anybody wants to pay me £100.
Wow.
But these magazines, it didn't last too long because of the cost of it. And we did, there's a fallacy one. We did, and there's Shorty and Ted on the back of that one.
Who's on the front there?
Beautiful. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to Big Smoke magazine, because it was a really, really good thing. And those guys, Harry Adams and all the crew, I wanted to give them a mention, because it was a moment too, and they're really collectible now. People paying for those. I also did I did a Task Force release just after I closed the shop as well. There's 2 different covers on that. But apart from that, so I'm just DJing. It's the radio shows now is kind of, what's musically what I'm doing with my life. But I'm bubbling again. My energy's up.
I can see. I can see.
Yeah,
I can see that.
So, as I say, there could be some things. I've got a couple of things in the pipeline which I won't say about, which could happen or could not. So I don't want to jinx it. But so there might be a couple of, things back from the old days catching up with me again. And if they happen, they happen. You'll be first to know. But
and then and also, Pete, anybody watching this, what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the link to Pete's shows into the description below.
Bless you,
so
mate.
Anybody watching this, please click on a couple of them links. It will take you through to Pete's Street Sounds page.
Yeah, Street Sounds. Yeah,
check it out.
Saturday, Sunday mornings. Yeah, and like you said, you can listen again. But that's beautiful because I'm trying to build that, and I'm really hoping that when lockdown ends, I never really pushed my DJing. I just did it. Opportunity arose, and lots of opportunities arose because I was in West End. I'm in record shops, but I've kind of, because of the way it's happened, I'm a little bit more, because I'm a very sober person. I'm cleaner than a nun's diary, as I say, and so I'm much more focused now. And I'd kind of like to, it may not happen, but I'd quite like to make, to do more DJing. I'd like to kind of push that side of things. I really enjoy it. I love it. So, hopefully I may even just sort my own nights out and do it through myself, but you never know. But I think Street Sounds, they're talking about doing, boat trips and doing all that kind of stuff. So, that could, hopefully that's going to be, see more of me on the decks and all that.
No, I hope so, because I've been to a few of the Street Sounds parties. They've been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, it could be good. It could be good.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get lockdown out of the way now. We get the vaccines out. We need to get over it.
We need to push forwards.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
And Pete, last one. Do you want to kind of give a little shout out to anyone?
Well, as I said, do you know what? I want to shout out to everybody who was part of Deal Real. There's too many names to mention, but as I said earlier, if you came in and there was like Saturday mornings, you get these kids from out of town, and they'd get there really early, full of beans. And I was probably a bit moody and hungover from the night before, and it's too early. I was probably rude to them. To all of you, anybody that ever was part of it, that you were Deal Real. It wasn't just us. It wasn't the big stars. It wasn't OC and Big L and all those big names, Marley Marl and Diamond D. They all came by. They were part of it, but it was more the customers. And when I think back, and my fond memories, it is those people that kind of spring to mind. All those people, all those young rappers that came through, anybody that it touched. I'm blessed that, and I'm blessed at how much nice feedback I've got back over the years, especially now I'm sort of more public again. And again, I really have to shout Sarah Love, because she's kind of, in a lot of ways, rejuvenated me, sort of thing, and got me back on the Deal Real. And she's never let the Deal Real flag. I was happy to kind of put it behind me. She said, no, Pete, So I have to give a massive shout to her. And everybody else, to Tony Vegas, hopefully be seeing him soon. I haven't seen him in years, but I'm trying to organise to see him, because he was like the guy that started with me. And I can't really, there's too many. Yeah, there's too many. But
shout out to everyone.
If you know, if I say 100%. And if you don't know, you're lying to yourself. If you think you were there, you weren't. You know what I mean? And but also to you, Steve. I mean, bless you. Thank you for inviting me onto this, because it's great to tell my. As you can see, I've got lots to say.
Pete, honestly, it's been mind blowing. And I'll be totally honest with you. Listen, my man. When we get back on track, I'm gonna get you in the back of the cab, and we're gonna do a proper one in the back of the cab as well.
We'll do part 2, and we'll talk about some other stuff. Yeah. But I'd love to, because it's like
listen, mate, it's been an absolute incredible interview.
Thank you, man. Oh, thank you so much.
Honestly,
I've loved it, man.
Listen, your energy levels are on another level. Honestly, you can see you can see the passion you have for this music.
Oh yeah, no, it's total. It's my life. And there's a song by Gary Bart's, "Music Is My Sanctuary." Every time I play that, I'm like, this is about me. It is. Everybody, I think, every friend I've got is I've met through somehow through music. It just is. And I feel very blessed that I'm given the opportunity again to play. So thanks to Street Sounds Radio too. Just amazing, really. That is, and no, that's it, really.
Yeah, no, listen, Pete, it's been an absolute honour. Listen, anybody,
thank you.
Listen, anybody who's watching this, please share this around the socials, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, go and check out DJ Pete Real's radio show, because it's on another level, playing some absolute gems.
Thank you, Steve. Bless you, brother. Thank you.
Listen, Pete. Wicked. Listen, my man, stay safe, stay positive, stay up, and keep the peace.
Yes, peace. Thank you, my brother.
Listen, good luck, Pete. It's been an absolute honour.
Cheers, Steve. Love you, man.
A real
Thank
honour.
you. Thank you very much, man. It's wicked.